think being consistent. That has to be something that everybody needs to be aware of. You can't just put a video up and then walk away and not do it for another couple of months, or not even think about the video, because it's about consistently checking on the video. Because the great thing about YouTube, unlike the other social channels, is that your video lasts forever.
And we're live! Woo!
Hello.
And today we have the self-styled queen of YouTube, Anita Wong, who helps you help people to have success on YouTube. I suppose that's the simplest answer.
Yeah.
But what would be the complicated answer?
The complicated answer, well, I make it easy. I help people understand sort of how to use video across social media with a focus on YouTube first, so that it means that people, usually YouTube is an afterthought to a lot of people because they get sidetracked by all of the really trendy sort of, social platforms like TikTok and Instagram, things like that. But what is becoming more and more apparent now is that actually SEO still really counts, and YouTube is really good at helping you show up not only on YouTube but also on Google. And I think that's something that the others are still catching up on. So yeah, that's the complicated answer without going too deep.
So how did you end up on YouTube and not, say, Facebook or LinkedIn? Like, was it because video appealed to you, or was it like you were looking around and you saw, oh yeah, YouTube is the platform to use?
I think it was more of, I knew that you needed to get on a couple of platforms when I first started out. So I was on Facebook, and then, Instagram wasn't really video first in those days. It was a lot more images and things like that. And so it was like, well, I don't mind being in front of the camera, so let's do YouTube. And what really sort of like piqued my interest, I suppose, was because I was sharing videos about how to understand the social media platforms that I was currently using, and that was actually getting a little bit of traction. So I was like, okay, then let's just carry on with this. And then I just then sort of fell in love with YouTube, and I loved the versatility of the platform. And now, of course, it's evolved more to like shorts as well as podcasts and things like that. So, and the community tab. So there's lots that you can do on YouTube that some people aren't aware of, that they could actually just step into it quite easily.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to you in the pre-chat about how I've been trying to be a bit more YouTube focused with this show. It's kind of difficult with a live show because you always tend to end up just shoving it on to YouTube, which I did for a long time. And now I edit out the titles to make it shorter because people get bored and the rest of it. But let's say you had somebody with a blank slate, and let me pick some. They were interested in Viking ships or something, and they thought like there's a lot of people interested in the Vikings ships, and they were going to do a specialist channel on that. And they maybe wanted to get to the point where they can monetize it in some way because they're the world's #1 expert on Viking ships. So what kind of suggestions is this something that's achievable, or do you need a bigger topic? And what kind of things would you suggest to them to do?
Yeah, okay. So you don't need a bigger topic. The more narrow the topic to start off with, the better, so that you start to get a little bit more traction and YouTube knows who to send your videos to and things like that. I think, if I were starting a new platform, and I do recommend this to my new clients, whether they're starting it or they're maybe like relaunching their channel, is to have 5 videos in your bag of the topics that you want to discuss. So I always sort of recommend between sort of 4 and 6 subject matters on the channel, and then have those ready, and then put them all out in one go over the course of a week. So say like if we do 5, you have 5 pre-recorded, and then you get them to go out at various times throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when they go out. And what YouTube can see from that is that there is a variety of subject matters that you're producing on your channel. It also gives YouTube the opportunity to suggest another video of yours to the person that was watching maybe the other one. Whereas if you just start with one, YouTube doesn't really have anything else to recommend to that viewer. So it's always nice just to have a little bundle, and then you just go on to the one a week. So you've chosen your 5, you upload those over the course of 5 days, and then you go back to the beginning of the 5th one, and then you do that a week, and then you just do it every week. And then, of course, you utilize that longer form content and cut it up into shorts, and that goes in between the regular uploads. So that's what
So that's assuming a topic where there isn't like a time element to it.
yeah.
I mean, I suppose to be fair, this show doesn't have a time-related element to it, apart from like we talk about events and like, it's like in the way in the past or something.
Yeah.
The COVID pandemic. But if it's something like a news-based show, so somebody's commented on.
So it's a bit topical, like the debate, maybe.
Topic,
yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
Let's say BMX race thing.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that later. Obviously, that 5-episode thing is not going to work quite as well.
Well, it wouldn't work on the like this is happening now sort of thing, but there are subtopics within the topic that you could choose those 5 for. So, for example, BMX. There's the BMX racing style, which would be probably a live stream, which would be whenever there was a race. So during the season, that's probably about weekly. But off season, like we're in now, you have a winter season, like a winter series, but they're not they're like once a month and things like that. So what you would do for your regular uploads is choose topics within that topic. So, for example, BMX racing is like the top level, but what could you do in around that BMX subject? So number 1 would be like BMX fitness, number 2 would be maybe bike maintenance, number 3 would be BMX skills, because there's a lot of other parts of the machine, I suppose, that you could talk about. So it's still on the umbrella topic, but you have other topics that lead you to that main topic, if that makes sense. So, and of course, if it's topical things, my channel's a little bit topical in a way. Although I do social video, I talk about what's happening in the social media scene. So, for instance, if there's an update on say like Instagram, then I've come across it on my phone, I'll probably do a quick screen recording of my phone and then make a short video about that and get it out there as soon as possible. And the same with like YouTube's changing a bit about, the apps being updated all the time. There's lots of new little things popping up. So sometimes I'll just do a short little screen grab and then do a little video of me sort of like on my own and then just put them together and put that out.
Okay, so your channel, you've built up your channel to quite a big level now. I think I saw some milestone you had recently. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the biggest, over the time you've been doing your YouTube channel, what was the biggest thing in terms of increasing the growth of it that you've suddenly realised? I'm presuming you didn't have everything right from day one. What was the biggest?
No. I think it's being consistent. That has to be something that everybody needs to be aware of. You can't just put a video up and then walk away and not do it for another couple of months or not even think about the video, because it's about consistently checking on the video. Because the great thing about YouTube, unlike the other social channels, is that your video lasts forever, whereas the other social channels, your video tends to get lost in the ether because other stuff is happening. Whereas with YouTube, because of the way that the platform and the channel is designed, you can have a video that's performed really well 3 years ago still on the front of your channel page, where it might be the first video that people watch. Because if it's still topical and still relevant, why not keep it up there? So I think for me, the biggest thing in my channel growth is consistency and looking at what's been working and what needs to be improved. And I would say no video is ever a bad video. It's just a video that can be improved upon.
Yeah. And in terms, I mean, there's very limited editing you can do on the video itself once you've uploaded it. You can chop bits out.
You can just trim it a little bit.
Yeah. But you can change a lot of the metadata, can't you? So how important are things like the description and the tag? I mean, the tags seem to, one stage, tags seem to be the thing that everybody's talking about. And now everybody's saying tags have no difference whatsoever.
Yeah. I think the title is definitely important. And the thumbnail is important. So the way that YouTube monitors like how your video is doing is it will share it out. That's the impressions. And then it will look at how many people are clicking through the thumbnail. And then they'll be looking at how many people are watching the video.
Yeah.
So when it's initially shared out, that's done by the title and the meta descriptions within the title and the description and the tags. And then your video will come up with other videos, and then it's like which one looks more appealing to that person who's looking, and that will depend on whether they click through. And then the first minute, because everyone's attention span is so short nowadays, I would say the first 10 seconds, if you're not caught their attention by 10, 15 seconds, most people will go, oh, I don't know what they're talking about, let's move on to the next video. So you've got to be really aware of how people's attention span works. But I also think that one of the key things that a lot of my clients and people that I talk to about YouTube videos is that they don't name the video like the person who's searching it for it would want to. So they'll name it what they think it should be called, but that's not necessarily what the person is typing into the search bar to find that video, if that makes sense. And that's the meta description and the SEO that's really, really important, because YouTube looks at the keywords within the title, within the description. It even listens to the video. So it will listen to your video. It will take the transcript of your video. And the more you say about the topic that you're talking about, so like, for example, we're talking about YouTube, the more I mention the word YouTube and SEO and things like that, the more it will understand what the video is about, and the more it will be able to then share it with the people who it thinks would want to watch it.
So, ironically, I think I'm wearing my TubeBuddy t-shirt.
Very good.
Even though I'm not paying for it anymore at the moment. But there are tools like TubeBuddy, and I think there's vidIQ.
Yeah.
The two major ones, but I'm sure there are other ones out there that help you with a lot of things like tags and search quality. Do you use any of them? Do you recommend any of them? I mean, are they useful to somebody?
Yeah, I think they are definitely useful.
Yeah.
I have both TubeBuddy and vidIQ. So I'm an older TubeBuddy user, but I have been converted a little bit more to vidIQ. They're both really good tools to actually help you with your SEO. They've both introduced AI as well into their mix. And I think at the moment, I'm just favoring using vidIQ a little bit more than TubeBuddy, mainly because it's a little bit more versatile. It has an app that is really functionable, the same as the desktop version. So if I'm not at my desktop, I can actually go into the app and look at a video. It will give me a score, and it will help me tweak the title if it's not performing very well and things like that. So whereas TubeBuddy, the app's not as versatile as that. So that's why I'm sort of favouring vidIQ at the moment. But I would say that, if you didn't want to pay for anything, then the best tool to help you with your SEO on YouTube is YouTube itself. Because if you have a title for your video and you know what you would call it, and you go, right, so what would I think my audience would call it? If you type that title into YouTube, it will give you some suggestions, and that will help you to title your video.
Yeah. Okay, so what sort of proportion of time should somebody, let's say they've created this video on something, BMX bikes or something. Obviously, that's going to be a period of time, but how much time should they be spending on picking up the title and description, looking up stuff? How much time should they spend on the thumbnail? And do you have kind of processes in place, like Monday is thumbnail day or something like that?
No, I'm not very good at processes like that. I'm quite spontaneous with my videos. I like to get my videos out once a week minimum. And that's usually a Monday and a Friday I tend to put videos up. I would say, okay, so how long is a piece of string? So you take as much time as you think you've got. So when you get into a process, then I have a template on Canva for my thumbnail. So I tend to use a similar thumbnail for most of my videos in a particular topic. So you'll look on my channel, all my Instagram videos have all got a very similar thumbnail on. And that helps my audience know that that's what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. So my YouTube ones tend to have more of a red background. My Instagram ones tend to have a bit more of a orangey background. But thumbnails are very important. So, rule of thumb is that you have maybe one image and maybe 2 words, maybe 3, but they have to be quite big. There's a tool called thumbsup.tv, and you can upload your thumbnail onto it, and it will show you what your thumbnail looks like in all the different aspects of YouTube and in whatever. So you can see that if your thumbnail, you've got lots of writing on your thumbnail, people aren't going to be able to see that, especially on the mobile device. So practice, you tweak it a little bit. So I would say if you've recorded a video, think about, usually I come up with the topic before I record the video. A lot of people will record a video and go, let me just stick that up and come up with a title. I generally have an idea of what my title will be before I record the video. And then I will record the video. I will do a little bit of research on the computer, and then I do use ChatGPT to help me. So my process, if you want to know it, is that I will have an idea of what my video is going to be called. I will usually don't go from a script. So I'll have like bullet points of what I want to discuss in my video. And then once I've done my video and I've edited it, so I use Camtasia for like sort of harder edits, if that makes sense. But I've been using CapCut on the desktop because they have a desktop version now. So you can get CapCut on your computer, both Mac and PC, and you can use their desktop version in the same as your pro account on your mobile. You just sign into it, and it's actually almost identical to some of the more expensive video editors, like Photoshop Premiere Pro and things like that. It's almost like it looks exactly the same. So you have all the features like that. So one of the things that I use CapCut for actually is to get the transcript of it. So it will put the captions on, and I'll download the SRT file and the text file. So I'll use the SRT file in the video on YouTube. But what I'll use the text file for is I'll put it into ChatGPT, and I'll say, I only want you to use my video content that's in the text file. Can you tell me what my video is about, who it would appeal to, and what types of keywords should I be concentrating on for that video to show up in front of these types of people? And it will read my text of my video, and it will come up with the keywords it thinks I should use. And then I'll go into YouTube, and I'll start putting those in and seeing what types of videos come up with that keyword. And if they're very similar to what I'm using or what I've recorded, then I will integrate those keywords into my and ChatGPT is really good because then you can go one step further and ask it to write you an outline for a blog from your content. So what you're doing is you're using your content that you've recorded, and you're asking it to just help you organize it into a more readable format for the blog. And then I'll put that blog onto my website, and I'll embed the video into there.
Yeah, I used to do that sort of thing when I was a bit more diligent.
Yeah, but I think when you're doing sort of, YouTube at the moment is my business. So when I need to walk the talk, basically, or whatever the saying is, because if I'm not doing very well on YouTube, and then I'm telling people you do this and do this and do this to do that on YouTube, and you're not showing that you're doing it yourself, it's a little bit hard to sort of say that you're an expert, or you know what you're talking about. So I tend to try to put into practice what I'm teaching people.
Right. On that note, should we talk about BMX instead?
Yeah, I want to. That'd be good.
Well, I've got 3 things I want to talk to you about on this show.
Okay.
So, like YouTube, BMX, and the microbiome stuff.
Yeah, my studying. Yeah.
Studying in. So you compete in BMX. You're not like sort of European champion or anything, but
no,
I found that interesting. I mean, because in my mind, you are the first person I've met above the age of like 20. But then again, in my mind, I remember BMX from when it was a new thing, and I was about 20. So I'm sure it has been. So how did you get into BMX? I think you told me you were in it, and then you got out of it, and then you come back into it. So talk a little bit about your BMX journey, so to speak.
Okay, so where we lived, there was a BMX track in the field opposite where we lived. Yeah. And my parents, didn't have a lot of money. So it was like, I really, 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 really wanted a BMX bike. So it was like, well, you can have a BMX bike for Christmas if you want. And there was also a school ski trip. And I was like, well, I don't want to go on the school ski trip. I'd rather you spend the money on the BMX bike because I really want to have a go. So I got a BMX for my 11th birthday, Christmas that year. I started racing and got hooked straight away. And then, of course, you grow up a little bit. You know, I was 16, 17. I was like working, going to college, do my A-level. So I stopped racing then. And then I restarted when my kids found my boxes of trophies up in the loft, and they were like, where did you get all these trophies from? And I was like, oh, no. So they wanted to go. So I found a track local to me in Ealing in West London. So Hayes Hawks BMX track is where I practice. And I noticed that there were women grown-ups on the BMX track as well. So that's when I started. And I've been racing as an adult, I think, for about the last 7 years now. So my highest position is world number 5, which is this one here. This trophy here. I have it. So I got this in Zolder in 2019, just before lockdown. I got 5th in the cruiser 40 plus women's category. And the furthest I've been for BMX racing is Azerbaijan, when I got 7th in the World Championships the year before. For me, it's an outlet for me, because I've got 4 children who are grown up now, and none of them do BMX racing. I do it myself now. So it's like my space in that regard. And I love it. It's a really good way of keeping fit. There's a really lovely group of women that I race with, you know, nationally and internationally. The great thing about Facebook is that it's really good for communities, and that's where we all hang out in there, sort of thing. There's a Facebook group and things like that. So yeah, it's really good.
Okay, I'm going to ask a stupid question that occurred to me. What is the difference between a BMX bike and just a normal bike?
Okay, so the BMX bikes don't have gears. Well, actually, they traditionally don't have gears, although they have started introducing a 2-gear system, but we won't go into that. So traditionally, they don't have gears. Traditionally, they have a straight fork, and they are, well, they're one size. So the wheels are 20-inch normally. So a normal BMX bike is a 20-inch wheel diameter. And that's the traditional BMX. And you can either do freestyle or racing. And then there is the cruiser, which is a 24-inch BMX bike, which is slightly bigger, a little bit more stable. And that's what a lot of the adults race.
Yeah.
Although, especially for women, the men's category, they have an older age group for the 20-inch. But now the women have now got a 20-inch. In the UK, we have a 30 plus 20-inch category. And I don't mind telling everyone, I mean, I'm 52 and I race 30-year-olds. So the age groups need to be improved a little bit. But internationally, we race 40 plus. But I just love it because it's like any sport. And I think with BMX, and it's one of the only sports in the world that you can do with your children.
Yeah.
So your child could race and you as an adult could race. Everyone practices together. Obviously, your different levels will be divided up into their little age groups, but it is one of the only sports that you can do as an adult and a child together. So, and you never get forgotten. So when I was 11, when I raced, and I raced, 5 years, say, till I was 16, when I went back into the racing scene, people remembered me. After 40 years, one guy came up to me and went, "You're Anita Buckingham, aren't you?" Because that was my maiden name. And I was like, "Yeah, you remember me?" And it was like I'd never been away. And I don't think you get that in a lot of sports. I think BMX is one of those unique sports that transverse through time. And I think it's a great sport. So if any women out there want to go, do it, because there's a lot more women being encouraged to race. I mean, obviously men can race as well, but there is a real push for women, because obviously Bethany Shriver, she won the Olympics, not this time, but last time in Tokyo, she won the Olympics. Kai White got silver. So it really propelled the British BMX scene. It made it a lot more aware of what was going on in the BMX scene. Okay. It's a great sport. As you can tell, I can talk a lot about it.
Yeah. Well, on that note, you're not retraining something, you can carry on, but I think you are working on, you are training in to learn about the microbiome and gut health and that kind of thing. So talk a little bit about that and how you got interested in it, and like how far you are in the studies and what you've learned, really.
Yeah. So before I started my digital world, and before I had children, I was a intensive care nurse. So my original life career path was nursing. And obviously when I had my kids, my husband is a doctor, so it was like something had to give. So I just stopped nursing, and and I've always had a love of health and fitness because of my BMX. I used to run when I was a kid and So nutrition is something that I've always had a little bit of an interest in. So at the moment, I'm doing a postgrad diploma in functional nutrition. So it's a 2-year part-time course with the Institute of Optimal Nutrition, and it's like with Portsmouth University. So it's a 2-year part-time. I'm a third of the way through now, and it is basically functional nutrition. So it's nutrition. It's like holistic nutrition, basically. So you look at all of the different bodily functions and how nutrition can affect it. So my real sort of like interest peaked, I suppose, with my BMX. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm 52. So women do go through a change like the menopause. And I found that my racing and my fitness was suddenly, I wasn't going as fast and I was tiring a lot quicker. So then I started looking at why that was happening. And then I got a little bit more interest into like sports nutrition. And then I was reading up a lot about what I could eat to make my performance better, whether I was sleeping enough and And it led me down that pathway of actually there's a lot about nutrition that I don't understand. I'm like everyone else trying all these like fad diets, like the 5-2, the keto diet, all this sort of stuff. I was like, well, I'll have a go. But actually there is a sports physiologist, Dr. Stacey Sims, who focuses on sports nutrition and sports performance for women. So she really looks at how women train and perform different to men and how nutrition has an impact on that. So I've done her Menopause 2 course, which actually I don't think that's the right name for it. It's basically sports nutrition for women over 40 and how what you eat and how you train can affect your performance. So I've done her program and now I'm doing my functional nutrition. So at the moment I'm doing the cardio-metabolic module. So the gut biome module, which is one I did last semester, the last term. And that really, I was really interested in that because it was like, wow, like what you eat really has an effect on every part of your body. And that really opened my eyes to, like, even now, and I don't worry about what I eat at all, but I know that now I know what I should be eating because what you eat can really have an effect on every part of your body, right down to the cellular level. And people I don't think realize that as much.
No, well, that's true, isn't it? Okay, so to finish off, we're talk about YouTube again, I guess. What would you like? I think this is a question with all business and things. Like, let's say somebody's been doing consistently, like releasing YouTube videos on their channel for years, and they've not really seen much growth. When should they quit, and when should they look and say maybe I'm doing something wrong? Is it okay? Because I think a lot of the time people can just keep me especially, you can keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. But is it a case more they need to be looking at all their analytics first and trying to work out that? Or is there just, like, are there some topics that you can post videos about on YouTube and you will never, ever get any traction?
I don't know if there's topics that you'll never, ever get traction for, but I think what it is that it's more about learning from what you've done.
Yeah.
So I would never give up. It's probably just because you've just not optimized it properly. When people say to me, oh, I've got a channel and it's not growing, it's usually because they put the video up and they haven't thought about the SEO, or they don't know that there's SEO to do with it. So, and also YouTube has changed so much. There's so many different ways to get people to your channel. I mean, we haven't really even touched on the content that you would put onto YouTube. But for example, if you've got a video on your YouTube channel and it's not working or it's not being seen by anybody, it's like, okay, so what is the video about and how can that benefit the viewer? And does my title reflect those two things? Does my title tell the viewer what the video is about? And does my title tell the viewer the benefits of them watching it? And repeat that again in the description, and then repeat that again in the tags. The tags aren't as important, but I still tag my videos.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that they're still keywords that are seen by the app, by the little robot that indexes the videos. So it's always worth having them in there. And I think analytics is important. So if you've been consistently uploading to your channel, there will be videos on there that are working better than others. And you need to look at those videos and go, right, what is making those videos better? What does the analytics tell me? What do the numbers tell me about those videos that is different to the videos that aren't working? And think about your own attention span. If you go to watch a video and the first 5 minutes of it is like music or countdowns or not really relevant, and the person that's doing the video is not telling the audience what the video is about, you're pretty much going to swipe away, aren't you? So if you watch your own video and go, well, I don't really know what it's about, then nobody else is going to know that. So never give up on YouTube, but just revisit your channel and revisit the insights and go, right, okay, this is it. And then there are lots of other tools out there that can help you give that video more life by cutting it up into shorter videos. So for example, I know we're running out of time, but say for example, Opus Pro, which is a AI driven video editor. You take the link from your video on YouTube, you put that link into Opus Pro. It then uses its AI to look at your video and it cuts it up into shorts. And then you can put those shorts on YouTube. And there's like a way of you hyperlinking your short to your long video.
Yeah.
So you're giving that video the opportunity for other people, like for people to see it again.
Yeah.
So never give up on the videos. If you're doing videos, just keep going, because they will slowly, gradually get more. But you do have to look at what you've done and be a little bit critical. Like if you can't watch your own videos and think that they're not boring, then sometimes it can be. Even I watch some of my videos back and go, no wonder people swiped away. I'm just rabbiting on about a load of rubbish at the moment, and I should just be getting to the point. So sometimes it's deliver what they need. Go for it. Analytics will help, definitely.
Yeah, well, I think also sometimes, like, I remember the other day there was this big Hollywood, or not big Hollywood, he wasn't like, he was like a former director or something. He did this live stream and put it on YouTube, and it was supposedly an interesting topic. I can't remember what it was about, something about Marvel films or whatever. And I started watching it, and he talked for 20 minutes without getting to the topic.
Yeah.
And I think the trouble is there are some people who can be successful just because they've got enough presence on other platforms and enough
yeah, of course, yeah.
And that's always a problem with social media and YouTube, in that, like, we can all give advice, and sometimes it's obvious because we're the small person a lot of the time, and we can't get away necessarily with a lot of the mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's it. We do tend to be very critical of ourselves, and we do compare ourselves to others. And you're right. If it's like any celebrity or anyone that's fairly well known can start a social media channel and it can blow up within days or weeks. And then here we are just chugging away, and for me that, I had a little bit of that during lockdown, because I didn't do a lot of videos in lockdown. There was other things I was doing. I'd got my family at home, so there wasn't an awful lot of attention for me on my channel during lockdown. And I know that a lot of people who started a channel during lockdown actually got a lot of traction, because they were talking about something that people were suddenly thrown into the same sort of topic area, like, for instance, how to learn how to do certain things online, and I think they've just sort of gone on that wave. I would say don't compare yourselves to other people. We're all on our own journey. We're all able and capable of achieving what we set out to achieve, and some of us it will take a little bit longer, and some of us it will be a bit quicker. And try not to compare yourselves to others, because it's like a never-ending spiral then. And there's lots of people out there that have got bigger and better YouTube channels than I, but it's not going to stop me from putting a video up next week. You know, I'm still going to keep doing it, because the more you're present, the more people will get to know about you, and they get to know, and everyone buys from individual people. So yeah.
Okay. So to finish off the show, how can people watch your videos, find out more about you, possibly hire you to help them with YouTube, or they're interested in BMX bikes,
Yeah.
or the microbiome, or other eating things? How can people get in touch with you and follow you on YouTube and all the other wonderful stuff you do?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, most of it is under my name, so Anita Wong. So if you go onto YouTube and type in Anita Wong, I will definitely come up. My website is called Anita Wong, and I'm on LinkedIn as Anita Wong. So just find me on there. And my nutrition one, I'm not as open about that one yet, because I'm still learning. So there is a journey there on TikTok and on YouTube called Nutrition Uncovered. So I've started a little bit of a journey there, mapping out my experience as a mature student and the things that I learn. So those two are on there. But my main work one is Anita Wong. And I have a video membership club called the Social Video Club, which you can join. And we have group calls twice a month, and there's a big catalogue of videos on that will show you how to do things. And that's very much for the person who wants to just do these things themselves. But if you want me to hold your hand and support you a bit more, then I do have a one-to-one program that is also available. But just reach out to me for a chat. You can book in, via my calendar link, and have a little chat with me about what's going on. There's no commitment on that. That's completely just to find out what everyone's doing and what you're up to.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for being the guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody who's watched live, because sometimes I can't see whether nobody's commented, but they might be watching live.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody who watches on YouTube in the future.
Yeah,
and,
on the replay.
Hopefully it'll be like 10 million people. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I will take a copy of this off of your YouTube, and I will cut it up into Opus, and we will share it.
Yeah.
So we will see how things go. But yeah, if you're watching live and you've got questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll get back to them afterwards and stuff like that. So the usual.
So yeah. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
This is what God requires.
Something like 80% of people want to write a book, only 3% do. And I think that the biggest mistake that people make is that they think that a book has to come at the end of their life, like once they've become the foremost expert, and that they have to kitchen sink everything they know into this masterpiece of a book. And that is the completely wrong way to look at being an author. You should start writing earlier, sooner rather than later, understanding that it's probably not going to be your first book that's your biggest hit ever. And that if you're doing this right, you're making a ton of books and you're continuing to write.